Good morning, I'm Jeremy Coronado with 2020, and today we're going to focus on the Korean War. We have a special guest with us who is a United States Korean veteran. Before I introduce you to our guest, we're going to take a short 10-minute commercial break, and when we come back, that will conclude our show. Just kidding. The Japanese gained control of Korea in 1895 and made it part of Japan in 1910. The Allies defeated Japan in World War II, and U.S. and Soviet forces moved into Korea. After the war, Soviet troops occupied Korea north of the 38th parallel of north latitude, an imaginary line that cuts the country about in half. American troops occupied South Korea of the 38th parallel. In 1947, the UN General Assembly declared that elections should be held throughout Korea to choose one government for the entire country. The Soviet Union opposed this idea and would not permit elections in North Korea. On May 10, 1948, the people of South Korea elected a National Assembly. The Assembly set up the government of the Republic of Korea. Both North and South Korea claimed the entire country, and their troops clashed near the border several times from 1948 to 1950. The United States removed its last troops from Korea in 1949 and indicated early in 1950 that Korea lay outside the main U.S. defense lines in Asia. The communists believed the time was right for military action. The Korean War was the first war in which a world organization, the United Nations, or UN, played a military role. The Korean War began on June 25, 1950, when the troops from communist-ruled North Korea invaded the South. The UN called the invasion a violation of international peace. Demanded that communists withdraw from South Korea. After the communists kept fighting, the UN asked its member nations to give military aid to South Korea. 16 UN countries sent troops to help the South Koreans, and 41 countries sent military equipment and food and other supplies. The United States sent more than 90% of the troops, military equipment, and supplies. China fought on the side of North Korea, and the Soviet Union gave military equipment to North Koreans. The Korean War was ended on July 27, 1953, when the UN and North Korea signed an armistice agreement. A permanent peace treaty between South Korea and North Korea has never been signed. However, United States military forces remain in South Korea to discourage a resumption of hostilities between the two parts of Korea. The Korean War was one of the bloodiest wars in history. About 1 million South Korean civilians were killed and several million were made homeless. About 580,000 UN and South Korean troops and about 1,600,000 communist troops were killed or wounded or were reported missing. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our special guest and my grandfather, Gene Criswell, a United States Korean veteran of the 160th Infantry Regiment. Thank you for being here. We're going to ask you a little question. How old were you when you were drafted?
I was going to be 21.
Were you married at the time?
Yes, I was. I had only been married 3 weeks before they called me in. And then they gave me 2 weeks before I shipped into camp.
What were you doing when you were drafted?
I was working in private industry.
What department of the military did you serve in?
I served in U.S. Infantry, the 160th Regimental Combat Team, which is a special unit that is trained to fight in any part of the main line that can be pulled out of there and moved to another part of the line whenever needed.
Mm-hmm. How did the Army train you for this?
They gave us special training because of our ability to be able to move quick and be able to handle all kinds of different weapons.
Were you trained here, or were you trained in the States?
We were trained here in the States, but we were trained by the manual, by the book. When we went overseas, we threw the book away. Then veterans over there trained us because they already had been there in Korea fighting. So they showed us the way to fight that war over there, which was very good.
Yeah. Can you describe your position and where you were stationed in Korea?
My position, I was a scout. I was in charge of a platoon to take them in and bring them back out in combat. That was my job. And we were we were stationed in the furthest point of the 38th parallel, which was known as the Iron Triangle, which was a very rough spot. It was hard going over there.
You were often fighting on the front line. Can you describe this experience?
Yes, there was two types of fighting that we did up in the front line. We did day fighting and we did night fighting. Day fighting we did very little because we were exposed to the enemy. So most of our fighting was done at night, which was more effective.
Yeah, is there any in particular, like, fight that you remember the most, or you recall?
Well, there was several, but this one particular one was this time we went out. It was a 15-man reinforced squad, and I was a scout, and I took them down from the MLR down to the departure point, and then we hugged the baseline of the hills, and we were going to this area we call Area A, which is a hot area, because we had to find out what the enemy were doing over there. And we had another route to go, which was Area B, in case we got hit. So anyway, as we were going down, we went leaving a little more beyond our point of departure, past our outpost gives us covering fire. And as we were going, I sensed something. Through experience, I sensed something I didn't feel right, and so I halted the squad, and then I called the sergeant, and he came over and he said, "What's wrong, Chris?" I said, "Something's not right here." I said, "It doesn't look good." I said, "Everything's too quiet." He says, "What do you mean?" I says, "Well, look, you don't see no fireflies, you don't see no crickets chirping or any other bugs making any movement." I says, "That only happens when somebody else is out there before us, and that's an indication that somebody is out there." That's what I feel. I can feel it in my gut right now. So I think we better go up slow and easy. So I think the thing we should do is spread the guys out, give us a line of fire in case we get hit going up, and we can pull back. So 4 of us go up the hill and we'll check it out, and we're covered. He says, "Okay, Chris, let's do it your way. It's your show. Let's go." So as we went up the hill, we were a little better than halfway up pops this Korean, and he starts cussing at us in every which language he knew, and start opening up with his burp gun. And at that time we used to call him Gooks, you know. And I said, when he shot the first shot, I mean, boom, we hit the deck and we opened up on him while he was firing, and I know we wasted him. We hit him hard. So I know we blew him away. But as soon as we hit him, we got our grenades and we just lobbed them over the skyline on the other side of the hill, and boom, boom, man, when that hit, we went barreling down the hill. As soon as we hit the ground, everybody opened fire at that skyline so nobody would come down on us. And as we were firing, we called the CPR. It's located in the MLR, the main line of resistance. As soon as we called them, we told them, "We're in a firefight. We're being hit, and we got to know what to do." He says, "Because I think we're going to get hit. Some incoming mail is going to come in on us. I think the best thing is get the hell out of here, and let's go to Area B, and we'll be safer there, and then we can radio you and see what's going on. But as soon as we live, saturate this area. Open up on it. Go full board." So they said, "Okay," boom. So we just start taking off, and we scrambled. We got up the hill in Area B, and no sooner, I mean, them rounds, they were hitting all over that place. Because I'm glad we left, because I knew we were going to get the same thing from them, because they're good at it. That's it.
So when all this dust settled, what was the first thing that came to your mind?
Came in my mind that I did my job. I did my job, and I did it good. And I saved a lot of lives, and I felt good about it. Because if I wouldn't have had the experience and the instinct of what I learned in other patrols, and I'd have taken that squad up just to take him up, we'd have got wiped out. A whole lot of us would have got killed. So I felt I brought him back safe. And not only that, but even the guys told me after, said, Chris, you did a good job. Hey, you don't know how that feels. It feels good when they trust you. I'd like to take this time to thank every one of you, and especially my grandson, for allowing me this interview. It's something that I very seldom ever talk about, but when he asked me to do it, I couldn't say no. And if you have any grandfathers that were in the service at that time, they understand themselves. And I'd like to leave you with this thought that life isn't really everything you think it's going to be. You got to work at it to make it better for yourself. And help one another and trust each other, just like we did in the service. And you'll see how good you'll get along in life with people. And it'll make life a lot more bearable. And let's hope we don't have to have another war where you kids have to go in. So thank you very much.
I'd like to thank my grandfather for participating today, and I know that I have a better understanding of a soldier of war, and I hope that you do as well. And I hope the next week you can join 2020 as we interview Bill Clinton. Thank you.
She said, this is Jeremy Coronado signing off. Did I go? Did I go? Did I go? Did I go?
You do.
Did I?